Hey everybody, welcome in. Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, the free-to-play. Today is the 29th of October. Thanks for being here. It's about 7:45 in the morning for me, but next week, where you are, of course, but I'm not there yet. It'll be a little bit brighter at here at 8:45 because we're going to fall back. Yeah. And so, I won't be up at, you know, you know how it is. Fall back, spring forward, all that fun stuff. Anyway, I want to talk to you about a couple things. One is Balin Skull's journey is live. We have a bunch. I have raids across basically every account because for whatever reason they all start at the same time, which is whatever. Yeah, and we're just going to continue what we're doing by saving and not spending a whole lot and just climbing higher. But I mentioned I watched a couple of videos yesterday. I watched Nooch's, I don't know what it was. It was not a guide for teams that you should have, so much of it as a guide for teams that you should not have for Conquest. I was just like, because he said he was going to talk about the teams you should have, and he did like 3 of them, and then he talked like about a lot of teams you shouldn't have, and I'm just sitting there watching it, I'm like confused because I'm like, because the teams that he basically said that you should have are the teams that, make sense. And that is the ones that he definitely said that you should have are the Phoenix, which with Captain Rex, of course. And then a team for the Poncho Bros with either, he was using Padme, but I use Kelleron back because it makes sense with the raid and everything. Kelleron is easier to access than Padme. Right from the jump, because you got to farm the geos, and you possibly have to farm Django before you can get Padme, and so it just makes sense that, and since we need him for the raid right now, it just makes a lot of sense about Kelleron, in my opinion. And then he said CLS, which I'm like, I don't have on this account, but it makes sense. Since CLS, especially a high level CLS team, can just about go through anything. And then he started talking about a lot of teams that a lot of people have early, in their account, and he's saying that these aren't great teams, which I agree. Being the Geos, the Bounty Hunters, the Imperial Troopers, and Empire, and those are ones he poo-pooed, and I'm trying to think, is there another one he poo-pooed? He poo-pooed, and I'm like, and it was just weird. And then he's like, gas, and then he's like, gas is good, and I'm like, I understand that gas is good, but gas is not. I'm gonna get Rex because on this team, because my Poncho Bros just aren't where they should be. At least not yet. And then And it's just weird that he went there. And granted, and for me, yes, you have to get the bounty hunters before you can get Chewbacca. And yes, you have to farm the Geos before you can get to C-3PO. But that gas climb, it's like you just need so many. You need so many tunes, and you need them at fairly high relics. Now, granted, I'm not the one to be talking about the Geos just because they're gas, because gas is not my. I don't get the fascination with Anakin. I just don't. But I mean, from there, I mean, you need Shakti, you need Padme, who we've already talked about. You need Snips. You need, I can't even remember right off the top of my head, so sorry about that. But you need the fleet, of course, which is, I don't know. You need Snips. You need GK. You need Padme and 3PO. So you need 3PO for both Luke, for both the CLS team and for this team. I mean, this to even have it open. And then you need droids. Then you need a side and just a cadre of droids, which theoretically you could use this team, I guess, for Padme. And if you did, it would kind of make, I don't know, it would kind of work, but it's just mystifying. And that's only to get him to whatever. And then you have to farm the rest of it in the, you have to get the rest of him in, what is it out of? It's in here, it's get to, which, it's the same as Malik. It's the same deal with Malik. But, and so I just thought that just him saying that and him needing that, and he did mention the Revan team, the Sith Empire team with whoever. And he's like, this can work. You just have to pick your spots. And he said the same thing with the Jedi Revan team. And it's just like, and then he just took off on GLs, and I'm like, when I think about Conquest, I want easily accessible teams. I don't want, because a GL, I mean, granted on this account, if we didn't, we would be done with Kylo if I didn't need to finish Bam. But I think that I need to finish Bam. Bam is my number one priority of who I should finish, so I can get him, and then we can get the Executor. And then, as I've stated after that, as we're doing that, we'll have time to finish. SLKR. And he talked about SLKR. SLKR, you're gonna, you might, not obviously not easy and not normal, but as you go up, he's liable to be the only one standing at the end because that's the way he treats his team. And then you talked about Ray. She does a good job of protecting your team. And then he talked about, Jedi Master Luke and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, but I mean, outside of Kylo and Rey, you've got to have a lot of other pieces for stuff like JML. You need Jedi Knight Luke, which I don't think is nearly as hard to get Jedi Knight Luke as it is to get gas, because you don't need nearly as many teams, but it's a very similar type situation in my way of thinking. And you might disagree with that, and I'm okay with that. But it's just something that I think is worth talking about, something that I think is worth noting. And I just ended up that video. I'm like, what new information did you give people that they didn't already know? I mean, because it's like, why didn't he talk about the Gungans? Why didn't he talk about the new Bad Batch? Why didn't he talk about the old Bad Batch? Why didn't he talk about the pirates? Why didn't he talk about the Master Mace team? Why didn't he talk about Balin? Why didn't he talk about Inquisitors? Why didn't he talk about all of these other teams that are out there that are easier to get put together? And I know the Inquisitors are like paper without Grand Inquisitor or without Reva. But I've had them work in selected spots. But now I'm just at the point where it's like it just doesn't matter. But I think there's a lot of teams out there. He didn't talk about Night Sisters. He didn't talk about, like I said, he didn't talk about the Pirates. He didn't talk about the new Bad Batch. He didn't talk about the old Bad Batch. He didn't talk about this Master Mace team. He didn't talk about the Gungans. And I just think there's a lot of possibilities out there because he didn't talk about Mandalorians, making Mandalorians work without Maul. He didn't really talk about Jedi other than Jedi Knight Revan and Jedi Knight Luke. He didn't talk about any type of Sith team outside of the Sith Empire team. And there's just, and you didn't talk about a 501st Shock team. He didn't talk about. There's a lot of stuff that I just felt like he could have talked about, that he could have given more people hope on, that he just didn't. I've heard about the Zord Resistance team, and it's like, and it was just, I'm just mystified about why he just left some of this stuff out there for people to pick up and try to figure out on their own. And it was something that I was really disappointed in, because I was like, okay, this is gonna be really good. This is gonna help out early players. It's gonna help out mid game players, and that's where I am. I'm still early game. I'm still, we're progressing every day through mid game. I mean, towards mid game, but we're not there yet. And it's like, and that's across all of my accounts. I'm just trying to figure things out. And I just think it was very disingenuous of him to say, hey, we're going to help you out with teams for conquest. And he's like, well, this one, but it's obvious. And then this one, but it's obvious. And then this one, but it's obvious. And then all of these teams that you have, they're useful, but as you get higher and higher, they're going to fall apart. Well, then give us another team. And, we appreciate you giving us gas, and we appreciate you talking about GLs, but what about this? What about the Gungans? What about the Pirates? What about the Bad Batch? What about the other Bad Batch? What about the, all of this stuff? And that's just how I ended up feeling. Maybe you don't feel the same way. It's fine. But take a look. Let me know what you think. Uh, we can move on from there. I'm definitely going to do some more research because I'm very interested, you know. But I mean, we have so much to do right now. We have to finish this executive climb. We have to finish SLKR. Then we have to finish the profundity, which is going to take us. I mean, if you're wondering what I'm going to do, where I'm going to go, that's what it is. The profundity is going to take us. I mean, because it's like every other account. You see my other account where I'm farming at Red and Mon Mothma, and they are the same on this account. They're going to be the thing that holds everything up. And it's just, and even after we get them, there's a whole gearing up process. There's a whole all of that. I don't know whether it's going to take all of 2026, but it probably will. And maybe after, but one thing I'm definitely going to do is maybe I think after we finish SOKR is I think I need to take a side journey and pick up another conquest team, and I have to do some research whether they're good, whether they're useful or not. But it's going to be something. It's going to be like one of those teams that I talk about. Hey, why don't you talk about this? And I think we're still evaluating the Pirates. We're still waiting to see how Forlom and Zuckus are going to do for the bounty hunters. And because the Forlom, like he did talk about Forlom and Zuckus, but it's going to be, for me, it's going to be like a bad batch of Pirates, and Gungans, something. But anyway, that's it. I appreciate all of you. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. Otherwise, as always, hold the line and remember that I have friends everywhere.